It all started because the Associated Press was angry that Trump didn't want it in the Oval Office or on Air Force One anymore. So the Associated Press, one of the furthest left, least connected to reality, most annoying fake news outlets in the world, a news outlet that so perverts language and so powerfully perverse language that it actually forces other journalists who don't even necessarily work for the AP to follow its silly rules, calling men women, calling foreigners Americans, and so on. They were really irritated that President Trump didn't invite them to every special super secret gathering of journalists. So they decided to sue the Trump White House. And a judge came out and said, look, you want an emergency stop on President Trump's ban of the Associated Press from a few different places. But I see no reason to do that. You, the Associated Press, have no right to be in the Oval Office whenever you want. You have no right to be on Air Force One whenever you want. What are you talking? Where does that come from? And that led the Trump White House to say, hold on, you're right. They don't have any right. For too long, the liberal journalists have declared some sort of right to determine who is in the press room, who gets access to the president, but they really don't have any right to that. We have right to that. We're the White House. We're the ones who determine which journalists we meet with. So actually, you know what? Forget about the White House Correspondents Association. From now on, the White House press office is determining who gets in and who does not. Karoline Leavitt, press secretary to the president, take it away.
As you all know, for decades, a group of DC-based journalists, the White House Correspondents Association, has long dictated which journalists get to ask questions of the President of the United States in these most intimate spaces. Not anymore. I am proud to announce that we are going to give the power back to the people who read your papers, who watch your television shows, and who listen to your radio stations. Moving forward, the White House press pool will be determined by the White House press team. Legacy outlets who have participated in the press pool for decades will still be allowed to join, fear not, but we will also be offering the privilege to well-deserving outlets who have never been allowed to share in this awesome responsibility. Just like we added a new media seat in this briefing room, legacy media outlets who have been here for years will still participate in the pool, but new voices are going to be welcomed in as well.
When President Trump was in the midst of his transition, I said, this is an opportunity not only to reset the relationship between the citizen and the state, but to reset the relationship between the citizen and the press, the media, which are supposed to be the go-betweens between the people and the government. I said, right now, they don't have much audience. They've lost a lot of their influence, and they've exposed themselves as being deeply dishonest. So on neither count do they fulfill their obligations. The whole point of the White House press corps, the whole point of the media is to accurately report the news so they can actually convey what's going on in the White House to the people, and to ask the questions that the American people care about. To accurately reflect what the American people want. But the American people don't want what the legacy media are offering. That's why they're tuning them out. That's why even outlets like the New York Times and the Washington Post admitted that this past election was the podcast election, the independent media election. People are tuning out the old establishment media. So I said, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They're down, you got to kick them while they're down. You kick them while they're down, not just to be cruel or unjust or something like that. You kick them while they're down because they are corrupt. They have taken too much power. And part of what the people voted for in November is booting these kind of corrupt people out of the room. Love that she's doing that. Great stuff from the White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt. And this was elevated even a little bit higher. This was not just a decision made by a communications staffer. President Trump addressed this himself from the Oval Office.
And also on Air Force One. It's trending on X. People are talking about it. Get your thoughts.
Well, we're going to be now calling those shots. As you know, we won that lawsuit right there. See, the Gulf of America, which is a beautiful name. Most people agree. I don't know. It's, AP has been terrible. Look, I think they're radical left. I think they're third-rate reporters. I know the specific young lady that works on the account is terrible. She's a radical left lunatic, as far as I'm concerned. They don't treat us fairly. That's number one. And number two, they had no right to do that. This is the Gulf of America. And if you look at that shoreline, Look, from Florida, well, most of it it's called America. And vast majority, like big numbers. So I'm just admiring it as I look at it. I'm getting teary-eyed.
I'm getting teary-eyed. It's so beautiful, the Gulf of America. He says, we're calling the shots now. We're calling the shots. The American people elected us. The majority of Americans, voters, elected us. They gave us a unified government. They don't want you anymore. They don't want the liberal media. They don't want the Democrats. They don't want the careerist bureaucrats who are going to undermine the elected people. We're calling the shots. He goes, and it's all because of the AP. And as President Trump points out here, it even predates the lawsuit. Because you got to ask yourself, well, hold on, why did the AP get kicked out of the Oval Office and Air Force One? Oh, it's because the AP refused to refer to the Gulf of America as the Gulf of America. The AP manipulates language. They try to control the political order by controlling how all the journalists write. They control how all the journalists write by trying to insist on left-wing euphemisms. You call foreigners Americans. You call men women. You capitalize the B in black people. You lowercase the W in white people, as if to say black people are better than white people. Really nasty stuff in there. And the AP, they said, we will not follow this executive order and refer to the Gulf of America as the Gulf of America. Trump points out, he says, look, the coastline. Look, it's mostly an American coastline. It's the Gulf of America. No, we will not do it. Okay. Well, you pushed it a little too far, AP. And now the White House Correspondents Association has no power. The White House is calling the shots, and the relationship between the people and the media and the government has been reset. Thank you. Thank you, AP. I'm actually grateful to you. I'm so glad you liked that clip. Now, if you ring the bell and subscribe, then we will get to do this more frequently, which would be great. See you next time.